So today we have a Vizio E55-E2. So that's Edward 55-Edward 2. Now the symptoms. This TV turns on. The display, I'm not sure what word to use. It's a flicker, it's a fluctuation. It folds over on itself. It's not actually blinking. The TV lights are not blinking out, but the picture is definitely blinking. So we'll call it flicker. The display flickers. The menu can be called out. The menu comes out. Within minutes, the display will eventually blink out, but the backlights stay on. So in order to diagnose and repair any TV, it's very important to specify the symptoms. So we have a nice picture. We have a menu. I'm not sure how you would describe this blinking. The lights aren't blinking, it's just the picture that's blinking on and off. Now within a few minutes, the display, the picture, is going to go out, but the backlights will stay on. But we will lose the picture. When that happens, the menu can no longer be called out. Right now I've got a menu. It works. But when this picture blinks out and stays out, we won't be able to call out the menu. So do you call that fluctuation? Do you call that blinking? The lights aren't blinking, it's just the picture. Now for those of you who want an answer in the first minute, I'm going to tell you what's wrong with this TV. The LCD is bad. The liquid crystal display is bad. It's not any of the other things that AI, or if ever there was an oxymoron, it's artificial intelligence. It's just artificial stupidity, regurgitation of nonsense. It's not any of the things that they're telling you online. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to prove it. There we go. We just lost the picture. In this video, I'm going to show you how to prove that it's the LCD, not any of those other things. And this is going to be a repeatable experiment, one that you can do at home to prove it to yourself. And then we're going to try to fix this problem. It's a fiddly job. Chances of success are very low, less than 25%, I would say, but we are going to try to fix it. The main purpose of this video is to stop you from buying boards that you don't need, following procedures that aren't going to do anything. This symptom, bad LCD, I'm going to show you how to prove it. Now, while we're at this point, let's prove that the backlights are still on, because a lot of videos with tens of thousands of views say it's a backlight problem. Do you see the light poking all along the edge of the display? Do you see these lights? Do you see these lights poking through the holes in the back panel? You see the lights down there? Where do you think those lights are coming from? Those are the backlights. They're still on. This is not a backlight problem. The backlights are not blinking. They're still on. We lost the picture. That's all we lost. We did not lose the backlights. You can buy a new set of backlights for this TV. You can install them. You can go through all that work. It's not going to change a thing. There you go. The backlights are on. If I turn the TV off, of course, you won't see these lights poking through the holes in the back plane. Also, it's hard to tell, but you can see that there is light here on the display. I'm not sure if the video is going to show it. If I turn the TV off, this will go from light gray to totally black. Let's see if the video will show that. Alright, I'm going to turn the TV off. And you can see it just went out. It's not backlights. So dismiss all of those videos that tell you this TV has a backlight problem when you have the symptoms I just showed you. It's not backlights. Now, regarding people who say they can't possibly fix their TVs in their living rooms. So I'm in a room, measures roughly 12 by 16. So let's see, 4 feet here, 4 feet by the wood stove, 4 feet there. That's 3 4s or 12. We got about 16 feet this way. Looks a little bit bigger because of the stairwell. Now normally I would not take a TV apart in this inside the house. I would use my workshop. But I get a lot of comments, I can't possibly take my TV apart inside. Well, if you have a room this big with a floor area that big, you could take the back cover off right here on the floor. There's the back cover leaning against the wall. I use this plastic table. Excuse me, I said plastic. This is a cardboard table and an old mattress pad, just a rickety cardboard table. Laid it down, took it apart. I used this pad just to keep from scratching the display. Did this right here in this room. So yeah. And what tools did I use? All I needed was a Phillips head screwdriver. Okay, here are the tools. A tool. Took the whole TV apart with one number 2 Phillips. These are containers for all the different sets of screws, so I remember which ones go where. That was it. So don't tell me, please, that you can't take it apart in a average size room, because you certainly can. Now let's show the troubleshooting procedure so that you can duplicate this and prove it to yourself at home. Okay, I've pulled the TV out. We can look at the back. Now, boards in the TV: main digital board, power supply board, timing control board known as the T-Con board. LVDS cable goes from the main digital board to the timing control board. These little ribbons feed the display panel assembly. And down here, you have source driver boards. We have 2 cables. This left one controls this source driver board, which controls the right side of the display. This one controls the left source driver board, which controls the left side of the display. Up here we have, this is the Wi-Fi board. Now, first thing, lots of videos and posts say you need to put all new caps on the power supply board. Well, there's nothing wrong with the power supply board. The symptoms we showed are not caused by bad caps. They're not caused by a bad power supply board. Visual inspection shows nothing wrong with this board. There's no overheating present, no burn marks. You can test everything on this board. It's all perfect. You're wasting your money if you have the symptoms I showed you and you buy another one of these boards. Not going to work for you. And this main digital board, same story. There's nothing wrong with this board. Wasting your money if you buy another one of these boards. Timing control board. The symptoms I showed you are not caused by a bad timing control board. Not in my experience. Usually when the timing control board fails, you get colored lines or some weird type of display. You don't get the fluctuation that we just saw. And of course the Wi-Fi board way up here has nothing to do with this. Now you can buy a kit of all these boards, replace them all, including the cables. Nothing is going to change because the problem is in the display. Okay, now how do we prove that? Well, it's actually very simple. So I am going to disconnect this ribbon cable that controls the right side of the display. I would expect that there will be no picture on the right side after this cable is totally disconnected. Let's see what happens. You have a little flip up black plastic retainer here. It flips up. Now the cable, you don't just pull straight down. You're going to pull it out a little. I'll show you why that is. You've got to pull it out a little and then you can release it. So first pull it out or up and then it pops right out. Just going to leave it there, disconnected. Alright, let's go turn the TV back on, see what happens. So far we've spent 5 minutes or 10 minutes or so taking the cover off and less than 1 minute disconnecting that cable. Okay, we have the right side of the display disconnected. We would expect that there'll be no picture on the right side of the display. Left side is showing us a picture and it's not jumping. It's not fluctuating. It's not flickering. Now also, to prove this, you can play any video that you want, leave it on all day. It will play perfectly. Of course, only half of the picture will show. It'll play perfectly all day with no blinking, no fluctuating, no problems whatsoever. So what does this tell us? It tells us that the problem is on the right side of the LCD. All right? Let's prove that. How are we going to do it? How are we going to prove that it's on the other side? We're going to disconnect this side, which we see works perfectly, and connect only the right side. We know that if both sides are connected, the thing is jumping all over, only lasts a few minutes, then the display blinks out. But if only the left side is connected, works perfectly. All right, let's go to only the right side being connected. Let's see what that does. So what I'm going to do is go behind the TV and swap those cables. I'm going to reconnect the right, I'm going to disconnect the left. How long is that going to take? Maybe another minute. Okay, so the first thing, I've disconnected the power. Now we're going to try reversing these cables. Okay, now this is the one we disconnected before. I can't get close enough to show you this. There's a notch on either side of this cable. And we've got this retainer here, so black retainer gets flipped up. We've got to position this such that the notches fit over. You can't just slide it in. You've got to get the notches over their spots. Problem is the camera is where I have to be. There it is. Okay, right side is reconnected. Flip up this retainer. Pull out. It's disconnected. Okay, good side is disconnected. Suspected bad side is reconnected. Let's turn the TV on, see what happens. No picture on the left. Well, started to blink. And there we go, we just lost the entire display again, and the TV shut off. So that proves to us that the problem is on the right side of the LCD. Now this is a scientific experiment that you can reproduce at home. You can do this over and over and over again. The left side, when it's the only side connected, will play perfectly all day long. Not one blink, never lose the picture. The right side will start blinking when it's the only one connected and turn off the picture, as you just saw, within a few minutes. Now let's just look at these. Actually turned off the whole TV. Backlights are not on now. Let's take a look. See? Whole TV turned off. Backlights are not on. Problem is on the right side of this display. That's the truth. That's what's wrong.
The truth! You can't handle the truth!
See if it'll turn back on. See, it's turned back on. Question, can we fix this problem? Well, maybe. It's a fiddly fix. Not going to last indefinitely. It'll last a few months, maybe a year. There's your first blink. Not something I can easily do on the floor. Blinked again. Blinked again. Possibly we can solve this, but I'm going to need something a little bit stronger than that rickety cardboard table, because this has to be done, since the timing control is on the bottom of the TV, not on the top, and those ribbon cables are next to the floor, not at the top of the TV. It's very difficult for me anyways to do this crawling on the floor. So I'm going to need to set up something a little bit stronger. And we'll try to see if we can solve this problem. Again, chances of success, very low. Less than 25%, I would say. And it is a fiddly job. You'll see. We're going to attempt it. The main purpose of this video is to stop you from spending money on boards that you don't need, to stop you from following procedures that aren't going to work, to show you how you can prove at home exactly what's wrong with the TV in just a few minutes. It's the liquid crystal display. There's a problem on the right side. We may be able to correct it. And we're going to try that later as soon as I get a stronger table set up here. So here's a better look at the rickety cardboard table I used to take the back cover off. So this is fine. Put a cloth on it, lay the TV down. You can take the cover off on something like this. Very lightweight, there's nothing to this. But it's just not sturdy enough to stand the TV up on. So that's why I'm going to put in something a little bit stronger to see if we can fix this. But really, something like this is all you need to take the back off of a TV. Card table would work just fine. So we know the problem is on the right side of the liquid crystal display, which is controlled by this cable. Now, there are 60 lines in this cable. I'm going to measure it. going to round that off to round that off to 30 millimeters. So 60 lines in a distance of 30 millimeters, they're roughly a half a millimeter apart. So it's a fiddly job. Now, crazy as it seems, if we can identify which line or lines are shorted, and if we can cut them off or insulate the cable, here I'm using some cellophane tape. You can see we've got little pieces cut off here. So with the power off, we disconnect this cable and we use some cellophane tape to stop the ribbon from connecting. You know, what I recommend doing is you cut a piece. I've already got it fixed, so I'm reluctant to take this apart again. Notice these divider lines. They're every 5 millimeters. There's the line all the way to 60. So cut a piece of cellophane tape that exactly takes out 5 lines. So this piece would be too big. We cut it a little smaller. And then start on the left and keep moving it. So in my case, 5, 10 was right about here. I've got about 5 lines cut off right here. 5, 10, 15. It's right about here. This section. Okay, here's further explanation. Now, the connector is marked 0 to 60. So if you count the 0, there's actually 13 divider lines. What I did, the cable is sitting in there like this. You disconnect it, it flips back. This one's a little bit stiffer than the one that's actually in the TV. So it flips back. And initially, I put a very thin strip of Scotch tape covering these first 5 lines. That didn't work. So turn off the TV. I move it over, put it between these 2 tick marks, divider lines. You can just barely see them here. And that didn't work either. So then I moved it to the next set, which would be lines roughly 11 to 15 or so. I don't know if is the camera picking up the Scotch tape that's here? You can kind of see it. It's right here. There it is. You can see the tape right there. Now make sure when you apply the tape that it completely covers all these gold contacts, because you don't want these gold contacts to actually connect to the contacts that are in the connector. We're insulating them. So now when we slide this back in and clamp it down, those lines are electrically insulated. Now I can't say what lines may or may not be shorted in the TV that you're working on. In my case, they were right in here, and that worked. It worked, it fixed it, it's working great. With a piece of Scotch tape just like that, covering roughly lines 11 to 15. I just tried to go between the tick marks. All right, so that's how it's done. Now, how can the picture play if you cut off 5 lines? Well, it does. It fills in the picture from what's good. There's a slight degradation of picture quality, but it works. Now, I can't show you this playing because I'm playing a movie right now. And if I show you that, even for just a couple of seconds, YouTube will hit me with a copyright strike. But it's been working. It is working. And also, I've already got a video showing how the cutoff method works. put a lot of time into that, and I'm going to attach it. I'm going to put a link to that video up in the upper right corner of this picture, but I'm also going to attach it to the end of this video so you can watch it without even having to go to that link. And it shows you how to use the cutoff method. Now, I have to say, this is what's wrong with these Vizios. In the store, I was at the store yesterday, there had to be another half dozen of these TVs there, and they all have the same problem. So hopefully this is going to help you get your Vizio working again, at least for a little while. When I've done this, in fact, the TV that was in the video we're going to be watching shortly here, that TV probably lasted 9 months or so, and then some more lines went out. And then I found those and cut those off, and it played again, and it lasted maybe another 6 months or so. It's not a permanent fix, at least not in my experience. But it does get the TV working again for quite a while, and it doesn't cost any money. I think everyone has a scissors. Almost everyone has a roll of cellophane tape. In the video, I used some wax paper, the other video. But since then, I've just used Scotch tape. Works fine. Whatever brand this is. Yep, this is official Scotch tape. So, yeah. Let's turn on the menu and we'll look at the picture for a bit. Okay, we're back to the Vizio. I'm not sure what you'd call this selection screen. It's not the settings menu, it's default internet screen. Got my helper here with me. We've been playing movies all afternoon. They're playing fine. There's no flickering, no jumping, doesn't cut out. So with those lines cut off, if you have a very discerning eye, you will see that the picture's not quite as distinct as it had been. But you look at that right side, most people cannot tell the difference. It's filled in perfectly, there's nothing missing, it's just not quite as sharp. And it's working. And we didn't spend any money. Started on the left side, cut off 0 to 5 or 1 to 5, that didn't work. Then 5 to 10. Then 10 to 15. Pretty much 10 to 15 did it. That's where the problem is. Now, could we have narrowed that tape and cut off even less lines? Maybe. It's kind of fiddly. It's not that easy to get it so precise. I'm happy with this. It's working. Gonna leave it right there. TV is rescued. It works again. Costs nothing. I urge you to watch this other video where I go into great detail on how to use the cutoff method. The only difference, again, I use Scotch tape here instead of wax paper. So I hope you understand that the symptoms shown at the beginning of this video are caused by a shorted LCD, and the fix is you prove it by finding which side is shorted, and then you try to fix the TV by cutting off those lines. In the next video, the one I'm going to attach right now, you'll see I actually cut those lines out with a razor knife. Here I just left the Scotch tape in place. So I hope this helps someone. If you manage to save your TV using this method, leave a comment. Please like, subscribe, really helps the channel. Thanks for watching. And now, our feature presentation. This is how I learned to do the cutoff method, but honestly, I think leaving the Scotch tape in place is even better. So here's the problem with this TV. It turns on, the backlights come on, there's sound. I'm going to raise the volume. You can hear the volume indicator, but there's no picture. There's no on-screen display. The menu will not show. And if it's connected to a cable box or antenna, there's no display. So we have TV turns on, backlights on, sound, no display. Usually that means the LCD panel itself has an internal short. We're going to see if that's the case, and if we discover by testing that the LCD panel is shorted, we're going to try to fix it using the cutoff method. So those are our two goals in this video. Test the LCD panel, see if it's shorted. Goal number 2, see if we can fix it using the cutoff method. Okay, we've got the TV apart, and what we're looking at is the timing control board. There are two flat pack cables. This one would control this side of the screen. The other one controls the other side. Chances are the short is going to be on only one side of the panel. So if we disconnect the shorted side, the other side should come on. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to disconnect these one at a time, turn on the TV, and see if we can get half of the display to work. Okay, still no picture with this side disconnected, so we're going to turn the TV off, reconnect it, try the other side. Okay, we've got the left side disconnected now, and we'll repeat the same procedure. Hey, look at that. We suddenly have the display working again, so that tells me we have a shorted LCD panel. And the short is on, well, as we're looking at it, our left side is, if this were actually orientated correctly, it would be the right side of the screen. Let's see if we can fix it using the little-known cutoff method. Now, the tool that we're going to use to find the short is the backing from this mailing label material. It's just a very thin, waxy material, and we're going to cut that off and use it. So what we're going to do is insert this material into the connector. I've only cut about 3/8 of an inch here. My experience, the problem's usually on the left side. Okay, we've got that piece of material underneath the flat pack cable. We're going to turn back on, see if we get any kind of display on that side. See if we get any kind of display at all. Because if the short has been reconnected, there'll be no display. And the short has been reconnected, we got no display at all. So we just move it. Okay, there's where it was. We're going to move it to the left and see what happens. Okay, full screen is on. Both sides. So let's see how we got that. Now, I want to point out that we have little tick marks here. And we can see 0, 5, 10, 15. So we've covered lines 0 to 15. For the best possible picture, we only want to cover the lines that are shorted. We want the other lines to work. So we're going to move this to the right until we get no picture again, because that will reveal the first shorted line. In the interest of speed, I've moved it to the right, exposing the first 5 lines. So if we have no display again, then that would mean that the short is in that bank of the first 5. And we could do it one at a time. Of course, that would take longer to identify the actual line. But let's see what happens with those 5 lines exposed. We know it's in the first 15. Now let's see if it's in the first 5. Okay, we've got the thing turned back on now. And let's see what we got. Oh, no display. So we know it's in the first 5 lines. Okay, that helps. Now, to aid in troubleshooting, it helps to elevate the TV a little bit. I've just got a 2x4 with a towel here so I don't scratch anything, and another 2x4 here on this other side. Now, I've already found the lines that are bad in this, so let's turn it on and see what it's going to be like. So I've turned it on. I have a mirror here. I'm going to kind of squirt my mirror underneath. There's the left side of the TV, which is my right. So the whole screen is lit and working. Of course, we have no signal, no input, so you just get this static on it. So it's working. All right, now let's turn it off and see what I found. Now the method that we use is we take a little piece of very thin material, but it has to be just stiff enough to disconnect these lines. And you move it back and forth until you get both sides of the screen to light up. So, and then you have to move it one line at a time until such time as the screen goes out again. So if I expose lines 5 and 6, the screen will not light. If I cover 5 and 6, the screen does light. So that's the procedure. You just keep moving this back and forth until you get the screen to come on. Then the second step is you move it again to narrow it down to you only want to cover the exact number of lines that are shorted. So it's very, very easy to do this. It doesn't cost any money. You can accomplish this repair literally within minutes. And you would be amazed at how many TVs you can rescue using the cutoff procedure. So let's go notch that cable, put it all back together, see what it looks like. Okay, so started with a razor knife and just scored the cable and then finished cutting it with a little tiny trimmer, scissors. I took those 2 lines out. You can see it here. And I did it from this side because that's you could see where the lines were. Can't really do it from that side. Let's put it back in the TV, see what it looks like. We're back together. We're going to turn it on and see if it goes. I have just 2 lines cut. And no joy. Well, here we are. We've got it all back together. I actually end up cutting 4 lines. That would be lines 4, 5, 6, and 7. Of course, that would be different on every TV. But considering that we had no video at all, video's been restored. Looks pretty good. Didn't cost any money. It is a fiddly job. So next we're going to go into some tips so that you can be successful with the cutoff method. Verify that the LCD is shorted by disconnecting the flat pack cables one at a time. If it is, observe the status LEDs on the T-Con board. Understand that this is a trial and error procedure. always power off between tests. Understand that precision is required. Tape down the insulator every time to keep it from moving. Use a magnifying glass and triple check everything. Only cover the exact line or lines that are shorted. When this method works, picture quality will be reduced, but many people cannot tell the difference. Good luck. Thanks for watching.